Hi, my name's Andrew Haworth. I'm the Commissioner of Blast Premier, the world's leading Counter-Strike series. We select venues around the world based on a number of criteria. Initially, where we think the fan base are. So we obviously have a fairly good understanding of where our viewership figures come from. So we're looking at trying to bring a tournament to the audience where they're going to most engage with it and get excited by us being live there. We take a lot of look across our social channels as well of where people are even asking us to be. From that, we kind of do a bit of a review usually on commerciality. So the costs of operating in some of those territories versus the likely revenue streams, and work that back through as to what makes the most pragmatic sense. And then we spend a lot of time just actually looking at the real estate in those countries that we've identified, or those cities that we've identified that we'd like to work in, which is a combination of looking at the calendar and when we are set for our shows, what's actually available on those dates, and then looking at the spaces that the venues have. So, esports needs a lot, and Counter-Strike in particular. We need a lot of space backstage for the technical solutions that we run, but also for the player dressing rooms and the practice facilities that they need. And then everything else is really around usually the roof height and the weight loading, so that we can hang all the production screens, and looking at the bandwidth within the venue. And on the bandwidth side, it's probably less about what is already there in the venue. I mean, ideally, I'd walk into venues that have all the facilities that we need straight away. It's more about the ease of uplift. We tend to find that most venues don't have what we need or would like at the start, but some of them have fairly good, sensible relationships with local telecoms providers that can be easily upweighted, and that becomes more interesting than actually, what a venue has originally in place. So making how easy we can operate in there. It's really around bandwidth. It's purely on the internet connectivity in there. We travel with the equipment that distributes everything, so we don't need to worry about what the venue has in terms of that. We will provide all the distribution across the venue. What we do need to then have is the upload and download speed. So it's really about the pipe coming into the venue. Now, most venues would probably have something that is a couple of 100 meg. We would want to have something that's a gigabyte dedicated to us. So that's where we offer. That's the question they kind of usually ask as soon as we're in a venue is, do you have that? Not expecting the answer to be yes, but it's more the follow-up question of, is that easy to upweight? And most places it is. Most decent newish venues have the ability to just essentially turn the tap on and increase that capacity. What we haven't done particularly yet is, and that I've seen in other wider sports, is almost the kind of the wider fan zones and that pre-event entertainment. And I think some of that is because an esports a long day. Generally, our tournaments are several hours rather than a football match or rugby match being 2 hours. So whereas you've seen, fan zones or tailgate parties around NFL games, rugby matches, less so football matches a little bit, that have been really successful and really good for commercial partners, really good for the audience experience. We haven't done a lot of that in esports yet. Number of reasons why, and I think one of them is the kind of typical length of the day, where we're often a 6-hour show anyway, so you don't necessarily add something at the front end of that because you might not get the attendance to it. But there's always best practice that we can be picking up from any events. I mean, I attend, in a social life, me and a lot of my colleagues will go off and attend various events, and we spend our time coming back with ideas or thoughts of how we can pass that into Blast Premier. Well, I think there's two very different best experiences possible. The player, you want to give them an unimpeded performance opportunity. So they have got an easy way. They don't have to think about anything other than just how do they perform at their best. All obstacles removed. They're just able to come, put on the best show and give the fans the show they want. So while we have various show features and entrances that we do with the teams, I don't really want them thinking too much. I just want them to be able to focus on performing and enjoying and working to the best of their ability. For the audience, that best experience possible is a constantly, deliberately undefined and evolving piece of, they just want to have fun. You're selling escapism. So the activities or the concepts that we would have thought of 6 months ago should be outdated in 6 months' time, because there's a different, someone else has come up with a new, more exciting way of doing something, or a different experience. The audience want to see something new every time, and that's the constant evolving part of that, of looking at every part of our show and just that it welcome in and out of the venue, so that every part of that customer journey is as engaged and exciting as it can be.